On today's Academy lesson, we're going to talk about a move that I think is one of those moves that people tend to be a little bit afraid of when it comes to card magic in the Gambler's Cop. Now, the Gambler's Cop is one of those very versatile moves that could be applied to a lot of different things, not only as a replacement for a palm, but also as a holdout, as a temporary holdout. So imagine you hand out the deck to be shuffled, you could bring it back and you could hold a number of cards under your control. You could use it as a deck vanish. You could use it as a replacement for a palm, so you could use it to reach into your pocket and apparently produce a playing card. The Gambler's Cop has a lot of applications, and I feel like it's one of those moves that magicians tend to be afraid of because of the angles. Now, the Gambler's Cop itself is a palm that is not necessarily conventional in terms of how you would notice a palm or how you would see a palm. So this is what scares magicians. They're afraid that spectators might actually see the action. But I think that the Gambler's Cop is more well hidden of a move than the actual top palm itself. So let's go into the actual mechanics itself and how I get into the palm. Now, the Gambler's Cop itself involves a little bit of a pinky break. So you need a pinky break on the card or the cards that you're going to palm out of the deck. Now, I like to do a buckle from the front. Some people don't necessarily like the buckle. I enjoy the buckle just because it's an efficient way of getting a break underneath the bottom card of the deck. Some people prefer the pinky pull down. You're more than welcome to do whatever method you want. You could even go as far as spreading the deck. And once you get to the allotted number of cards that you want to cop, for example, let's say you want to cop the bottom 4 cards, or you just want to cop the bottom card, you just make sure that you stick your pinky over how many cards you want to cop in the deck. So in this case, we're just going to cop 1 card. So we're going to get pinky break above 1 card in the deck. Now, what's going to happen is that you're going to bring your hand back. So you're going to transfer the palm to the thumb break just temporarily. This is only a temporary move. You're going to bring the entire deck back. And what's going to happen is that you're going to bring everything forward apart from that card. So you're going to be left with the card in this position. Now, this is the position where I like to typically cop the card. It's almost a lateral palm. If you guys are familiar with Leonard Green's work, it's almost a lateral palm. However, the card is being held by my middle finger, and it's being pressed against the fleshy part of my palm over here on the left side of my hand. You notice that it's the fleshy part that's having a little bit of contact, and it's a very light pressure. I'm not squeezing the card, I'm not bending it. However, once I bring the deck back, I leave the card in this position. I bring the deck forward, and now the card's ready to be copped. So this action typically takes place as I hand the deck to the spectator, and this hand comes down. Now, the natural thing that you want to do when you first learn this particular move is you want to bring your hand down as fast as possible as to avoid the spectator seeing this. However, it's supposed to be a natural move. Keep in mind that if you do this normally, your hand's just going to fall naturally. So why not emulate that action and not draw attention to it? So once you get into the position, one more time, we have a pinky break. You're going to bring the hand back. You're going to bring the deck forward. So now you're left in this position. Again, this is a temporary position. However, if you do want to hold the position for a longer period of time, you're going to bring your hand over and make sure that your hand covers the angles from the side. The only angle that you're visible here is from the top if you move your hand directly up. But from this position, you're covered from this side. You're covered from this side. So there's not really that much that the spectator could see apart from above if the spectator happens to be extraordinarily tall, or if you happen to move your hand in this unnatural, awkward position. So keep that in mind. So once you get into this position, what's going to happen is that you're going to use your right hand to pick up the deck. Your left hand is naturally going to fall at your side, and you're going to offer the deck for the spectator to shuffle. Now, when the card is in this position, you could either go into your pocket, if you want, to ditch the card or leave it there for a future routine, or you could just hold out the card here at your side. You could just hold out your card here at the side. You could even put your thumb in your pocket here in a very natural position. Now, the angles for this are a lot better than you would imagine. A lot of people think that, oh, this person on the left is going to see me. As long as you make sure to manage it so that everyone is paying attention to this particular person shuffling the cards, the focus isn't going to be on you at this point. The focus is going to be on the playing cards, especially if this person isn't someone who usually shuffles cards, especially if it's a person that you've given some sort of explicit instruction to. So, for example, after they shuffle, do me a favor and cut the deck. So that's going to draw the attention away from your hand here. So when you ask for the deck back, you make sure that you come at the cards with your right hand in this position. The reason for that is because, again, using body language, you're going to convey to the spectator that you want to pick up the cards in this way. You're not saying anything outright. And of course, the best way to do that is to bring in your hand this way so the spectator knows how to hand the deck to you. Now, at this point, all you have to do is you're going to bring both your hands together. So you're going to bring your left hand naturally to the deck. you're going to bring the deck back. So as your left hand comes in, you're going to bring the deck back and bring everything forward, and now you've added in that card. Now at this point, you could ask them a question to distract their attention. So you could say, are you happy with the way you shuffled the cards? Because I want you to remember later on, oh, I mixed the cards. You know, some people tend to think, oh, maybe I'm sneaky, maybe I did something, but you shuffled the cards. And of course, in that action, I've loaded the card back underneath the deck. So imagine something like this for the aces. You could spot the aces in the bottom. You could cop those cards out, have the spectator shuffle the cards. They give you back the cards. And now you've loaded those aces subsequently in the bottom of the deck without the spectator knowing, and they shuffle the deck. So that's a very, very strong position to be in. This move is also useful for a card to pocket. So imagine that you have the spectator pick a card, you control that card to the bottom of the deck, and now once you hand the deck out or put the deck on a table, you're able to reach into your pocket and pull out the card they picked. So that's just done simply by getting into the cup, and instead of going to the side, you're just going to go inside of your pocket. So you're just going to bring your hand down naturally. You're going to bring it down naturally. You're going to reach into your pocket, and you're going to pull the card that they picked. So you see the gambler's cup could be used not only as a temporary holdout, but it could also be used as a replacement for a palm. A lot of people prefer this because it's a lot cleaner of a handling than the top palm. And it's a way of palming a card that you could do that doesn't really depend on hand size. Because the cup, notice the position of the card. It really doesn't matter your hand size. You could get into this position and you could hide it. All you need to do is just manage your angles and manage your audience, and you're going to be in the perfect position. So those are just some tips on how to use it as a holdout and as an actual replacement for the palm itself. Now, one of the more interesting applications of the cup itself is as a way of vanishing the entire deck of cards. Now, this is a little bit of a bold move, and it's something that's going to take a little bit of audience management, but trust me, you will be able to get away with this. One of the ways to do this is you need the spectator to either be holding onto the card box in their hands or to have the card box in their pocket. So you just say, do me a favor, if you're in a standing situation, hold onto the box. If you want, you could just put it in your pocket, something like that. The reason for that is because when you want to vanish the deck, you're going to need the misdirection of looking for the box in order to cop out the deck. That's the easiest way that I found to do it. So for this, let's say we have a card selected. In this case, it's the Queen of Hearts. This card is going to get controlled to the top of the deck in one of the numerous ways that we've discussed. But the point is that this card is on top of the deck. Now, at some point, what's going to happen is that you're going to need to get a break below this card. Of course, getting ready. Instead to cop one card, you're going to actually cop the entire deck. But the technique is essentially the same. So you're going to bring the entire deck back. You're going to temporarily hold that card in a thumb break. You're going to bring the entire deck back. And when you bring this card forward, you're just going to flex it a little bit in front of the deck. So now the deck is actually in this far back position, and this card's in front, but your right hand is covering the situation from the front. So one more time, you have a break. You're going to bring the deck back. You're going to bring that single card forward, and you're going to flex it. So this card is being flexed right here in front of the cards. What this does is that it just hides the condition of the cards. So the timing on the move, remember we have a break below the top card of the deck. The timing is, so actually, who has the card box? I actually need to, oh, you have it. Okay, do me a favor. Open it up, take it out, because we're actually going to use it in a little bit. Kind of interesting that it's a whole card box for essentially, let's just see if we can have this. An entire card box just for one card. Just put that in there. That'll be the timing in the way that I would do this deck vanish. And I would use it at the end of a longer routine, maybe an ambitious card, maybe something of a transposition trick. So something where I have reasonable attention from the spectator, and I've already established, you know, a connection and rapport between me and the spectator, so that they feel comfortable whenever I ask them a question, and they're not out to look for particular methods. But it's the same technique. You're pretty much copying the entire deck. You're flexing in the front, so that when you bring up the deck, the spectator should be looking for the box. They should realize, oh, I have the box, and the attention is going to go on them. So that's where you take the opportunity to ditch the deck in your pocket. You're going to pat the other pocket, holding, of course, one card. Notice the position that I'm holding the card. This is very important because you want to simulate like you're holding an entire deck. So if you do this sort of situation, it's not going to look good. But if you hold it deep into your hand, it almost looks like an entire deck, and you're angling it towards the right as you pat this right pocket, because of course you want to cover the angles from the obvious gap that exists. So make sure to hold the deck towards your body. When you come up with your right hand, of course, miming that you're holding an entire deck, and say, actually, interesting that a box can hold a full deck of cards, but let's see if we can make this happen. So all I'm doing is that I'm just going to put my hand over and pretend like I'm squeezing the deck into nothing. However, I'm just literally doing nothing. I'm just squeezing this card so I could reveal and show that there's only one card, the Queen of Hearts, that I hand to the spectator, have them put it inside the box, and it's a little bit of a humorous moment because where did the deck go? Where did the deck go? So it's that little moment. But that's just a little something you could do with the Gambler's Cup as a little cute, ballsy, bold move. So that is the Gambler's Cup. The Gambler's Cup is one of my favorite ways to palm out a card. It could be used as a palm replacement, as a holdout. So it's one of those things that people tend to be scared of, but there's really not much to be scared of. If you direct attention in the right way, if you just watch your angles and make sure that your audience management is fine, the attention is on the deck, the attention is on the person shuffling the cards, you're going to get away with it each and every single time. So it's one of those moves you just got to do. You just got to do it once, and when you do it, you're going to get that confidence, and you're going to feel like you could get away with it. And then you're going to have to build on that confidence. And you might get caught. You might get caught, but it's still going to be a learning lesson, and it's still going to be a very useful move that you need to add to your collection of moves and not be afraid of. So that is the Gambler's Cup. Thank you guys for being part of this Academy lesson. I hope to see you guys on the next one.